a diamond of motherhood, a cube of love. And we pass on these things from generation to generation to generation. And we look at this diamond to think of the many facets of motherhood. And that's what we're going to talk about. There, we are exploring the multifaceted nature of motherhood, liken it to a diamond with varied facets that reflect different aspects of mother's love and influence in the lives of their children and their family. And so it's a reflection of love. Mothers are the crucial reflection of God's love, embodying grace, wisdom, sacrifice, and nurture. So mothers are a great influence in our families. The first major point is celebrating strength and dignity. There's got to be a balance there so that we have the strength that we need to do it, but the dignity to carry things out. A lot of that comes out in discipline, but it's a balancing act, keeping all the plates spinning without them falling down. I can remember watching the Ed Sullivan Show way back when, and kids don't even know what Ed Sullivan is or who he was, but he would have this guy and he'd get all those plates and one of them was going to fall and you just knew it was going to fall, and all of a sudden the crowd might say something or encouraging something and he looks and he gets it and it doesn't fall. It was amazing what he could do and keep all those plates going. Well, in life, mothers keep all the plates going. They keep up with all the activities of their children. They know where they're supposed to be. They've got to get them there. They've got to help out. And they need a good husband that helps out with that too. But we've got to keep everybody in line and know what's going on. In Proverbs 31, beginning in 25, it says, "Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her." And I've always liked this picture because this picture depicts the beauty of motherhood and the great blessings of motherhood, and that the father and the children should rise up and call her blessed and to give her the glory that she deserves because she is so special to the family. So we put her on a pedestal this day of the year. And she deserves it because of all she's done. There's a poem entitled, "Thank You, Mother." Thank you for being there. Thank you for love. Thanks for the diapers, the washing, the folding, the rocking, the singing, the healing, the smile. With so many children, so many you know. On with the caring, the loving, the giving. With all of your children, the cooking, the cleaning, the sewing and work. You did not cease and you did not run. And so for those hours, those days, all those years, the heartaches and all, thank you for telling of God above, the challenging repinings and all of the holding, the endurance it took to cope all the while. I think I'd half quit, not continued to go, the unceasing frustration of everyday living. Honor is due you, for you did not shirk. You did not give up as I might have done. I thank you, dear mother, forgive me the tears, the anger, the rudeness, the big and small. With peace, joy, and love, may nothing seem grim. May your heart know how dear you are to me and each day of the year. I think that's a pretty good sentiment to say that we appreciate what moms do, and they do give us the knowledge of God. That's part of their strength in giving us the knowledge of God and teaching us the way that we go. The second major point is the sacrificial heart of mothers. They have a heart that's tuned in to their children. They know what their children are doing. They have a heart that reaches out and touches them and knows just exactly what they need. And we're going to look at Jochebed as an example. And she was one that cared for Moses. And she delivered Moses, and it was a difficult time because all the babies were to be destroyed. In Exodus 2 it says, and a man of the house of Levi went and took a wife, a daughter of Levi. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she took an ark of bulrushes for him, dabbed it with asphalt and pitch, and put the child in it, and laid it in the reeds by the river bank. And his sister stood afar to know what would be done for him. So she arranged for the sister to watch over. Then the daughter of Pharaoh came to bathe at the river, and her maidens walked alongside the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the reeds, she sent her maids to get it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. So she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrew children's. Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call a nurse for you from the Hebrew women so that she may nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said, go. So the maiden went and called the child's mother. Then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages. So the woman took the child and nursed him, and the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So she called his name Moses, saying, because I drew him out of the water. Now Jochebed had to give up her son, but she spared his life. When all the babies were being killed, she spared it. So she saved Moses from death and prepared an ark for him. So it's one of those arks in the Bible. They say how many arks? I think there's 3. The Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of Noah, and the Ark for Moses. You may know of another one, let me know. When she nursed Moses somehow, she taught him about his real Israelite people. I don't know how long she had him. I don't know how many years she had, or if she had months or a year or what. But in that time, she taught him that even though he's living in Pharaoh's house, he is an Israelite, and to remember that. She sacrificed knowing him by preserving him through Pharaoh's daughter. And God had a way of making all this work out for good. She risked her family's safety to provide God's man to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. And today, mothers protect their children and lead them to serve God. And so she was a special mother in that way. So we celebrate strength and dignity. We have a sacrificial heart of mothers. And we have patience and perseverance. And they're very important. And we're going to look at the mother of Jesus. And when Jesus was 12 years old, they went to the temple. And whenever they went to the temple, they began to search. They went to the temple, everything was fine. It's when they started home, they thought he must be among all the other families that are there in the journey. But then they realized that he wasn't there. So they went back and found him. And in Luke chapter 2, beginning in 46, it says, now so it was, after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the teachers, both listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. He had quite a bit of knowledge. So when they saw him, they were amazed, and his mother said to him, son, what have you done to us? Look, your father and I have sought you anxiously. He's been missing for 3 days. And he said to them, why did you seek me? Did you not know that I must be about my father's business? So he was where he thought he should be, but they did not understand the statement which he spoke to them. Then he went down with them and came to Nazareth. And notice these words, and was subject to them. But his mother kept all these things in her heart. Now that would take quite a bit of patience to wait for your son and to look and everything, and some, anxiousness. If you lose your child at Walmart, you're anxious. You lose your child at a store, you need to find him and everything else. And it's quite a challenge, and I've done that. I've looked around, where is my grandchild? I found him, thank goodness, so that's good. Patience and perseverance. So patiently looking for Jesus and distressed and not finding him. I can relate to that. She felt that she had let him down, and it is hard to understand what Jesus was doing in her mind. And we need patience and perseverance to understand our children. And that's important that we have that patience and that understanding so that we understand our children and carry forward what we need to carry forward. And so that patience and perseverance is a good quality of a mother that we all need to have. And we treasure many things our children do in our hearts and remind them of the patience we had with them. Almost every day I have some memory pop up on my phone because it shows me what happened on this date various different years throughout life. And I enjoy looking at that and remembering those special things that we treasure in our hearts. And I remind my children of those sometimes and let them know about it too. But we need patience and perseverance to go on. So we celebrate strength and dignity. We have a sacrificial heart of mothers. We have patience and perseverance, but influencing faith generations. This is one of the most important things, is to carry the faith from one generation to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. And this is something very, very important that we do, is to share our faith with our family and to carry it forth from generation to generation. And so we're going to look at Lois and Eunice in this particular case, and they studied the scriptures. They must have had some scriptures because they studied them, and in their day, it would have been papyrus, it would have been scrolls like this. And they had taught Timothy the things he needed to know. In 2 Timothy 1 and 5 it says, "When I call to remember the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I'm persuaded is in you also." That's pretty impressive to remember the genuine faith that was in his grandmother and his mother, and it was passed on to them. I can remember my great-grandmother. I can't go beyond that because they were all dead at that point. Great-mother, grandmother, mother, and myself, we all had genuine faith, but we put our faith in God and we trust him. And that's important that we carry it forth. If it's not being carried forth from generation to generation, we need to start carrying it forth from generation to generation. So it says we need to influence faith generations. Lois and Eunice, through their example and teachings, passed down a sincere faith to Timothy. And that's important. They passed down what they thought was most important, which is the scriptures, which is the word of God, so that Timothy would know those things and be knowledgeable about them. And parents pass down their faith to their children. Remember, this is truth. More is caught than taught. You can say a lot of things, but what you do speaks louder than the things that you say. So you set them the right example so that they can have that knowledge that they need to have. And we bring them to Bible class and to church. We teach them in our homes. We let them see us model the faith in how we live. And so that's important that we do these things. We send our kids to camp. We send our kids to vacation Bible school when they had it. And as they were growing up, they remember those various different things that they did. And it's those things that we do for them that makes the future generations a blessing to see the faith grow in them. There's a poem about God's helpers. Because mothers are God's helpers, God could not be in every place with loving hands to help erase their teardrops from each baby's face, and so he thought of mother. He could not send us here alone and leave us to a fate unknown, without providing for his own the outstretched arms of mother. God could not watch us night and day and kneel beside our crib to pray, or kiss our little aches away. And so he sent us Mother. And when our childhood days began, he simply could not take command. That's why he placed our tiny hand securely into Mother's. The days of youth slipped by quickly swept by. Life's sun rose higher in the sky. Full grown were we, yet ever nigh to love us still was Mother. And when lifespans of years shall end, I know that God will gladly send to welcome home her child again, that ever faithful mother. That is what we treasure. I think he was a wise man. In fact, it was written by George Wiseman that wrote that. But the span of years that we have a mother and the special care that she gives to us is very special to us. We treasure our mothers. They are very special to us. It all begins with a commitment. A man and a woman decide they're going to get married. And they dedicate themselves to each other, and out of that home comes children. And those children are a blessing from God and a treasure that he gives with us, but he is entrusting us with the greatest treasure he has, our own children. And he wants us to teach them from generation to generation to generation to follow after him and to be faithful. Well, that same type of commitment is mentioned in Ephesians chapter 5, where he talks about husbands and wives. And he talks about the sacrificial life that Jesus gave on the cross for us so that we could have everlasting life and we could be at home with him forever. He asks us to hear it. He asks us to believe. He asks us to repent. He asks us to confess. And he asks us to be baptized in order to be his children. Today, if you have a need, won't you come while together we stand and sing?